We will now call the business session of the November 16th, 2021 to order at 6:06 p.m. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. And I also want to say really quickly that I'm sorry we had to cut our discussion on the neighborhood grant program a little short because we were running a few minutes late. I really appreciate the discussion we were able to have then, and appreciate Millette and her team, and look forward to having more robust discussion about that subject in the days ahead. But we will continue to have that conversation, and appreciate staff for putting the time into that presentation. Welcome to our guests and visitors. We provide an opportunity to the public to address our City Council on any agenda item or during the hearing of visitors portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted one 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you're here to speak and have not filled out a registration card, please see the City Secretary staff at the registration table outside the auditorium so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you are unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is to consider the minutes of the November 2nd, 2021 City Council meeting. The minutes were provided to you in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections? If not, those will stand approved, and we'll move on to public hearings. The first public hearing we have is public hearing 2021-827.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the following subdivision plats. Final plat of construction plans of Chapel Ridge 2 Edition Phase 2, final plat of construction plans of Saddle Creek Edition 2 Phase 3, and final plat and construction plans of Creekside Edition Phase 9. By a vote of 12-0, the Plan Commission approved all the plats and construction plans.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here who would like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
I didn't hear the second.
Yeah.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer. Aye. Porteroo.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Sabito. I mean, me.
Try it again.
Rodriguez says that.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Aye.
Me.
Yes. That motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-828.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 2021-274, abandoning a portion of right-of-way located at Dutton Avenue between South 4th Street and University Parks Drive, described as a 3.905 acre tract located in the Thomas J. Chambers Grant Abstract Number 7 in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being all of the existing Dutton Avenue right-of-way, which has a variable width, located between South 4th Street and University Parks Drive, providing the severability clause and finding determinant that meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the amended abandonment based on the following findings and conditions. That public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. That utility access for surrounding property is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. And that the abandonment of the public right-of-way allows Baylor University to provide better connectivity to future expansion projects on the north side of the Dutton Avenue to the existing campus. We do have two conditions. One, that all existing water, wastewater, and gas line easements be retained by appropriate utility purveyors for the area of the abandoned right-of-way. And two, that vehicle access shall be retained between University Parks Drive and South 4th Street.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Meek.
Yes. That motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-829.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting the renewal of a special permit to Centacor Foundation for a transitional shelter type 2 and O2 zoning district on property described as lots 1 and A2, Block G of the Hillcrest Addition, and lots B2, B4, C4, and C5, Block G of the Lucy C. Lacey Tract, and lots 1, A2, A4, A5, Block G of the Lucille C. Lacey Tract, known as 3008 Lyle Avenue and 3015 Herring Avenue. By a vote of 12-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. 1, the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of the special exception. And 4, that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use.
Are there any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing for comments, and I do have a card from Stacy Woodall, but it just notes no comments will answer questions. So any questions for Stacy? Anyone else here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo. Fairfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-830.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Burnt Oak Investments LLC for a restaurant or retail services providing goods or services directly to customers in motor vehicles outside of an enclosed structure adjacent to a lot used for residential purposes in a C2 zoning district on property described as lots 3 through 6, 7C and B7, 13 and 14, Block 7 of the Baylor Addition, known as 1705, 1707, 1717, 1719 South 18th Street and 1720 South 19th Street. By a vote of 8-4, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. 1, the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located. 3, the proposed use will not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without this granting the special exception. And that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to proposed use are adequate for the proposed use. I did want to point out a couple of the conditions specific to the special permit. One is that all site lighting shall be oriented to shine away from the adjacent residential uses, and all season landscape screen 4 feet in width, densely planted with a combination of deciduous and evergreen trees and shrubs with an initial height of 3 feet and will attain a height of 6 feet within 36 months after installation shall be installed along the property boundary with the adjacent residential uses.
Are there any questions for staff? I just wanted to confirm something with you, Clint. So right now, this property is zoned commercial, is that right?
Correct, C2 commercial
So
zoning.
a commercial use could go on this property that could have no fence, lights that shine into the neighbor's backyard, no landscaping, screening that we could require, is that correct?
That's correct.
But because they're asking for this special permit for this drive-through, it actually affords us the opportunity to require lights to shine away from the neighbors, a fence and screening of landscaping, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Are there any other questions for staff? I will open a public hearing, and we have a couple of cards for this one. The first one is Sonia, and I'm going to mispronounce her last name, but it starts with an M. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time reading it. If you could state your name and address for the record.
This is tall enough. So,
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you state your name and address?
yes, I was just gonna, Sonia Medrano, 445 Bres, well, for this location, it'd be 1817 Bagby.
Okay.
And was speaking on the Starbucks that's going, or would like to try to get a special permit. I have a Airbnb there, and I already get complaints from the highway, but there's nothing I can do about that. But my question is, I don't understand why this location could get, why does it have to come behind and shine its lights right in our backyards? And if you would go and check this place out, there's a house here and the driveway, you know, going, well, the Starbucks is trying to build. Literally, you can stick your hand out and there, if I'm understanding the build right, you could touch the cars. Starbucks doesn't own that, particularly that area, which is a house, a residential house. And this area that they're trying to build in is very large. I understand a Starbucks would be great there, but why can it not have a different, you know, entry and exit? I've seen a lot of Starbucks, and they are all shaped different. Some are different sizes. That's my question. Is there any way we can prevent that right there, coming right through our neighborhood and residential area? It's in the middle of it opens like almost in the middle of the night, and it's just not very comfortable, so.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
I appreciate it. Clint, do you want to speak to any of those questions directly?
Sure. I believe the house she is referencing is it's actually owned by the applicant, 720 South 19th Street, and it will be demolished as part of the development. The reason why the driveways are where they are is because there's the 18th Street and the frontage road is controlled by TxDOT, and they have a denial of access along the whole frontage. That's actually the only place on the property that TxDOT will allow a drive. And so having the drive from 18th to 19th Street will allow customers to circulate through the site and go back out to the frontage road because 18th Street is one way without going back into the neighborhood. If they just had to drive off 18th Street, customers would have to circulate, go back out to 18th Street, go south, and to get back to the interstate, they'd either have to cut over to 17th or cut over to 19th through the neighborhood. So actually having that driveway connection between 18th and 19th helps keep traffic out of the neighborhood that would go to the Starbucks.
Thank you, Clint. The next card we have is a Mr. Emmett Hicks.
Good evening. My name is Emmett Hicks, and I stay at 1825 Bagby. I've been a resident there for over 20 years, and I just want to say that to Mr. Clint's point, it seems like to me they're more concerned about Starbucks than people like myself that's been there 20 years. As Ms. Sonia stated, the interstate is already messing Bagby up with semis, trailers, and all that. For that reason, my kids can't play in the front yard. My grandkids can't play in the front yard. It's heavy traffic. Now you want to put a driveway directly behind my house. It's going to affect me more than anybody because I'm the last house on the corner where 19th and this driveway is going to connect. Now, they are saying they're gonna put a fence up there, that's fine and dandy, but what they didn't realize was, the fence is only gonna go so far. You're gonna make South 19th a danger zone. We have people that walk at night, we have people that jog at night, and now my kids are forced to be in the backyard. There's grass back there, there's rocks back there. They play their baseball, they play their basketball, they play their football back there. What happens, council members, when the ball goes in the street on South 19th and somebody's coming out behind this fence and one of my kids get hit? What happens, council members, when somebody's jogging down there at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night and this Starbucks is open and somebody gets hit right there at that blind intersection? Would you want to be responsible for me coming back in here saying my child got hit because for convenience of Starbucks? The only thing we're asking is that the Starbucks get a U-shaped driveway instead of coming directly behind our neighborhoods. The one thing Mr. Clinton didn't say was that we have to stay there and we're going to be there, and Starbucks gets hundreds of cars a day. So that means them lights, that traffic is going to be right directly behind my backyard. That's for a lifetime. The highway is a temporary project. This is going to be a lifetime. Now, if I had moved into that resident area knowing that this was going to happen, my fault, but I was there first. Why do I have to try to go out and spend money to put a privacy fence up to protect my kids when I can't let them even play in the front yard of the basketball goal? Because that's the concrete in the front yard. The backyard is grass and other things. Now, when you put that blind intersection right there, you're asking for a lot of people. Somebody's going to get killed right there, council members. I hate to say it, but it's going to happen. The gentleman back there that's building it or overseeing it, he told me to go to Robinson and look at the CEFCO. It's a nice, pretty fence, the landscaping and everything, but it's going to be a blind spot there. And again, council members, all I want to know is, would one of y'all like to be responsible for my kid or some pedestrian getting hit or getting killed right there because Starbucks? Some things shouldn't be about money. Some things should be about what's right.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Hicks brought up the blind spot. Clint, do you have any understanding of that, or can you speak to that at all, based on the renderings or plans that you see?
Yes, sir. So we do have site triangle requirement. So, and I don't know exactly, one of the traffic engineers will look at that when it comes through the development process, but it's designed to have any side obstructions removed to a point where you can see both ways. We can get the specific requirements for that if y'all would like those.
Yes. Now, how does you mentioned the denial of access from TxDOT. Is that on the frontage road side only?
I have an exhibit that shows that I can pass there, but it's basically the whole frontage road, where the property fronts out to the frontage road all the way around along 18th Street, because 18th is a TxDOT road as well, basically to the point where the driveway starts.
Okay.
If you can see it visually on this exhibit.
Could we pull up the PowerPoint again? Is that possible?
I don't think the PowerPoint has the denial of access on it.
It's on page 129 in the book.
It's on page
129.
Clint, maybe pull up our agenda packet, or what page is it on the agenda?
And in the interim, the question is, so once we're waiting on the site triangle and all of that, is that something that would push this decision to be made until we receive that information?
If y'all would like to see that, where the site triangle would be on the plan itself, we would need some more time to show that. That's not something we can generate to provide y'all tonight. I think it would be best to be able to show it on the plan.
But Clint, I don't know. I appreciate pulling up the PowerPoint, but you don't think it's in here?
I can point it out. It's not specifically called out on the PowerPoint, but I can show you.
we need to make sure that the residents are comfortable and feel safe with all this going on. I understand about the C2 zoning, but the residents don't care about the C2 zoning. They want to be able to be safe, and we need to make sure, as I stated before, that they're comfortable and safe in their neighborhoods. They've been there forever, and we need to make sure, Clint, whatever we need to do, we need to do.
Is, there's
Jack,
not,
you want to see this? Are you?
That's what, yeah.
is there a
it's-
second reading for this, or is it just one reading?
It's a resolution because it's special permit, so it's just a one
We
reading.
haven't voted on it yet,
No.
right?
Correct. So up on the screen, that basically that access of denial from TxDOT is all the frontage along 35 where it makes the turn on the 18th, all the way down to where, basically where the driveway is
So
off
there
18th
is
Street.
no opportunity for an entryway in any point of that access denial.
That's correct.
And that's this, well,
Yeah, so regardless of whether there's a drive-through or not, whatever gets developed there, that is the only location for a driveway on 18th Street that TxDOT will approve.
So that driveway will exist as the, if this were to be developed, the only ways for a driveway would be as this, correct? Based on TxDOT's requirements?
Correct. So there's two options. It can either be in that location on the 18th, and it can be internal circulation and then back out to 18th Street, or you can have the connection to 19th. 19th Street is a city street, so the city has control over where the access is on 19th. So we can show what a site triangle would be as far as obstructions and where cars would park and come out of, or cars would come up to that intersection and where you could see. But that is something, we would need some more time to show that.
And Clint, one thing you mentioned too is that this driveway going to 19th, you believe actually keeps people from driving through the neighborhood. Can you explain that?
So 18th Street is one way going towards the south. Mm-hmm. So if you just had that one driveway, and customers had to come in 18th Street and go back out 18th Street, if they were trying to get back to the interstate, there's two options for them. One is to go down and cut over to 17th Street, which would be through a residential area, or the other option would be go down to Bagby and go over to 19th Street through the residential area to get back to the interstate.
So this puts people back on the interstate without flowing through the neighborhood traffic?
Correct, right.
Okay, any other questions for Clint? We have one more card, and that is Michael Bevers, I believe.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Mike Bevers. I live at 5101 FM 439 in Belton, Texas. And thank you for the time tonight. And Clint has done a great job to explain what we would like to do here. We've worked extensively with TxDOT's engineers, city's engineers and staff to work particularly about the traffic circulation around this potential project. If I could direct your attention to how the cross-access drive would attach at 19th Street, you'll see that it bows out, making it closer, further away from the existing residential and closer to the I-35 service road. That is specifically bowed out for the single purpose to give it the site triangle that's required by city ordinance. So as somebody's leaving the site and they're headed towards 19th Street, they're going to be on the right-hand side of that driveway. By pushing that further over, that allows us to get the fence all the way from property line to property line. That's a privacy fence that's 8 foot tall. It's double-sided so that it doesn't allow for light penetration. So it's not your typical, track home privacy fence that, gets the cracks in it after 4 or 5 years. It's specifically designed to eliminate the site light from penetrating it. Obviously, the vegetation there is an added feature. We work with staff. We do this all over the state for Starbucks, and we we know how intrusive those kinds of things can be, and we try to be thoughtful in that regard. But by moving that, bending that site or that excess, the egress drive out, it gives that site clearance so that the fence can go all the way to the property line. And as that person sitting there looking to their left, they've got the site triangle for oncoming traffic. And that's why it's designed that way. It's not on this particular plat, this particular drawing, because we have our plans ready to submit for building permit, but we obviously don't want to do that without having, things need to come in order. And the SUP case to allow for the drive-through is the proper order. The plat that combines this into a tract eligible for a building permit is at the city. They've reviewed it. They've made comments on it. And this process, we believe, is, while I understand it can be intrusive for the existing neighbors that are there, I think this is absolutely among the best types of development that could happen in a C2 zoning, with the thoughtfulness about how it's going to impact the neighbors. We've given a lot of thought to this, and Mr. Emmett brought up a lot of great comments at the Planning and Zoning Commission. We designed this particular exhibit for him, got that to him and explained it, and that's why we sent it to you guys tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions and would hope for your support.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, so you have specifically talked to Mr. Hicks? Mr. Hicks, you've talked to this gentleman right here?
We talked at the planning
Planning zone.
but as I explained to Mr. Bevers, I've been there longer than anybody in the neighborhood. That's not gonna stop the volume of the cars, it's not gonna stop the traffic and the noise, it's not gonna stop any of it. So you're gonna inconvenience me for $1. Why should I have to inconvenience when I'm the quote-unquote old person in the neighborhood for $1? There's a Starbucks directly across the interstate, 500 feet up.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Mr. Bevers? Thank you.
Thank you.
Clint, I had a quick question. If, say, like a restaurant wanted to go here, but they didn't have a drive-through window, and it was just a restaurant, like an Applebee's or something like that, wanted to go here, could they do this driveway just like this, but not have the special permit requirements?
Yes, it would meet our standard development.
So like if a Whataburger wanted to go, or some standalone thing wanted to go in there, that had a parking lot but didn't have a drive-through window, there would be no opportunity for, one, this council to cast a vote on anything, and two, there would be no requirement for fencing, lighting regulations, and foliage or landscaping, correct?
That's correct. There are some landscaping requirements for commercial, all commercial development, but the buffering requirements would only apply in the special permit case.
Thank you. I know that some council members have some concerns on this one, and so if we can leave the public hearing open and continue this to a date certain, if some council members want to get some more information on this, is that what you'd like to do?
There would have to be a motion to continue it to a date certain.
Then I'll move to continue the this public hearing on this item until, is our next council meeting December the 7th, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Until December the 7th, to give council members a chance to get some more information on this one.
Oh, I wonder, Mayor, if that's enough time for Clint to get the information that y'all have asked for.
What's you on the second one in December?
The second one in December?
Yeah.
You need that much time?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on the applicant providing information. My understanding is we want to see more of how that driveway and the fencing and the landscaping impact the site triangles, so some exhibits that show that.
Yes, I understand that you didn't want to be out of order, but there's some things that I need to see for clarity. And so with that information specifically, yes, so I don't know how long it will take the applicant to do that.
And we do have a week of, that's probably a burned week in terms of Thanksgiving.
Holiday. Sure.
So,
Absolutely have it to you by the end of this week.
So
We've already got it, it's just a matter of.
Is that good for you?
it sounds like December 7th is
It's fine.
fine.
Okay.
Okay, so second, you need a second, right?
No. Andre, second. We have a motion and a second to continue that.
Second to continue the public
I made the
hearing.
motion.
You made the
Okay.
motion.
Andre, a second. Any discussion? I'll just say I'm going to be really inclined to vote for this just because I want to say really clearly, I appreciate these residents coming here, and Mr. Hicks, I hear your concerns. I think they're valid. I appreciate you coming here tonight. The concerns for your family are incredibly valid. When I look at this piece of property and the ability for it to be developed and how desirable it is, I think it will likely be developed at some point. And we have a window of time here to make sure that it is developed in a way that actually benefits the neighborhood, including you, more so than if another developer would. And so that's why I'm inclined to do this. But I think it's really important that we give council members a chance to have clarity to this subject and this item, and continue the dialogue with you. And we will revisit this on December the 7th. Mr. Bevers, we appreciate you being here, and to the residents, we appreciate you being here so much too. So we have a motion second. Any other discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes. Palmer. Porterrood.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-831.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from open space to industrial on property described as being 42.0608 acres, more or less, in a tract situated in the BBB and CRR Company Survey, abstract number 1149, and being a part of that tract of land known as tract number 23, described in a deed to the state of Texas as recorded in volume 1016, page 109, deed records of McLennan County, Texas, in Walker J. A-575, 0.16 acres, known as 7900 Concord Road, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described above shall be changed from R1B district classification, providing for penalties, providing severability clause, and finding determined at the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 12-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of land use designation change from open space to industrial based on the following findings. Industrial land use are compatible with the adjacent properties and that are designated for industrial. Plan Commission also recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the proposed M2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area and with the surrounding TSTC campus and aviation industrial district. And M2 zoning uses are appropriate along this section of Aviation Parkway, and the existing infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in M2 zoning.
Any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? I will close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Yes, Mayor. I move for approval to consider this ordinance to change it from land use designation from open space to industrial and for rezoning from R1B to M2.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterrood.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to public hearing 2021-832.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 in Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as a 1.599 acre tract of land in McLennan County, Texas, out of the J.G. Smith survey, being part of Lot 4, Block 1 of the D. Donaldson addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat thereof recorded under County Clerk's file number 2003-030783 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and located along Steinbeck Bend Road, east of China Spring Road, shall be changed from O2 district classification and be designated into C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 12-0, Plan Commission recommended approval The request to change the zoning from O2 to C2 based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. Two, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in C2 zoning. Three, the property meets all area and width requirements for C2 zoning. And four, there is C2 zoning adjacent to the subject property.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open up a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone here to speak? If not, we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
I move for approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to the consent agenda. The following resolutions were pulled from the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. These are
Miss one, sir.
public hearing 2021-833. Got ahead of myself there.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance abandoning North 42nd Street right-of-way between Trice Avenue and Colcord Avenue, described as a 1.701 acre tract of land being situated in the Andrew Robb Survey Abstract Number 761 in McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of that North 42nd Street, a 60-foot right-of-way. Recorded in volume 835, page 467 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas, providing a severability clause and finding a determinant the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 12-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment based on the following findings and conditions. The findings are public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area, and two, the utility access for surrounding properties not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. The conditions are all existing utility easements be retained by franchise utilities in City of Waco for water and wastewater for the area of the abandoned right-of-way, or utilities relocated at developer's cost. Applicants must provide an exhibit with the field notes for each portion of the abandoned right-of-way needed for associated quitclaim deeds. Applicants must honor the commitments of the final three-party interlocal agreement, which is City of Waco Resolution Number 2021-068, which includes preserving the unimpeded public use of 42nd Street for Lake Air Little League through at least 7/21/2022. Staff would recommend also adding the following statement to this condition, that the street shall be maintained by Waco Independent School District to the current street condition during this time period. And four, that the City of Waco, McLennan County, and Waco Independent School District must sign, execute, and honor the final three-party interlocal cooperation agreement.
Any questions for staff?
On section 4.3, could we have unimpeded public use of the entirety of 42nd Street? To me, it's not clear, 42nd Street. I just want to make sure it's the entire abandoned area, because it goes, to get to those ball fields, it takes the entire.
Yes, that would be for between Colcord and Trice.
Yeah. You
Yes,
can add
sir.
that. I think it works. We added the maintenance to current street conditions
Yes,
this
sir.
afternoon. Okay,
We can add that wording to the second reading, make sure that's clear.
perfect. That's all I had, Mayor.
Any other questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone here to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move for approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. And now to the consent agenda. The following resolutions were pulled from the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Resolution 2021-835, 844, and 845. Is there a motion on resolution 2021? Sorry, we have a couple people here to speak. Actually, there's no one here to speak on 835, I believe. So is there a motion on resolution 835?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move that we cast 850 of our 910 votes for the Honorable Jim Holmes, Waco City Council District 5, and 60 of our 910 votes for Mildred Watkins, both to serve as board members on the McLennan County Appraisal District.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterwood.
Yes.
Fairfield. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to Resolution 2021-844. Is there a motion on this?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
I believe we have a card for this one, and that is Ms. Kathy Wise.
Hello, my name's Kathy Wise. I live at 1825 Washington Avenue. I was surprised to read in the local paper last week that the city intends to encourage use of Washington Avenue from 18th to 26th Street as a thoroughfare to and from downtown, and to make it 4-lane instead of 3-lane. I agree that the 18th to 20th Street section of road will benefit from repaving, but my concern is going from 3-lane to 4-lane, and concern about what other street or sidewalk treatments are being planned since the agenda didn't state those details. My questions are, 1, is consideration being given that the 18th through 26th section is a different type neighborhood than the 5th through 18th section, with significantly higher residential versus commercial occupants? Number 2, is consideration being given to preserve the limited street parking that we already have currently? Number 3, if sidewalk work is planned, is consideration being given to preserve the beautiful trees that are next to the street in various sections of those blocks? And number 4, when will resident input be solicited for the 18th to 20th Street section instead of us reading about it in the newspaper? In closing, with the viability of Waco Drive, Franklin Avenue, and 17th and 18th as commuter streets, in my opinion, there's no reason to encourage that type of use for 18th to 26th Street. We have limited street parking already, and we don't want to lose what we have. Bicyclists are already welcome and have ample room to enjoy the street without biting bike lanes. I hope you'll set up a meeting to listen to other residents from our neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Paul Kane, do you want to respond to that?
Thank you, Mayor. Paul Kane, Assistant City Manager. I want to thank Ms. Wise for her comments. Those are great questions, and part of the process tonight is to hire an engineering firm to help us design the project. And there are 3 public meetings that are part of that contract. So as we move forward, there'll be public meetings. Don't know dates and times for those yet, but we'll be working with the community on setting those up. And exactly the questions that she raised will be part of that discussion. And so we'll come in with a new road surface, we'll address curb and gutter, we'll address sidewalks. The trees are certainly an issue and something we want to talk to the residents about, because trees and sidewalks don't get along well. And so we want to work through those things as well with the community. So we'll be working with the community at least 3 meetings as we go forward. And again, this contract, the construction is not scheduled to start until the spring of 2023. So we have a lot of time going forward as we move through the design process to work out these issues, and we certainly want to involve the community. She's exactly right. There's a lot of different uses as we move down from 18th on. So we want to incorporate all of the neighbors and property owners in that discussion. And it could go back exactly the way it is in terms of striping, or it could be something different, but the citizens will have input in that process for sure.
So we haven't landed on the future use of this?
Absolutely not, no. And in the article, and we thank the TRIB for covering local issues. I believe Jim was quoted in that article quite a bit, and he was talking about options of things we could look at in terms of striping as we move forward. But certainly those decisions will be made with the input of the community.
Thanks, Paul. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Anyone else here to speak on this item? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Porterwood. Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we have Resolution 2021-845. Is there a motion on this item?
I move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Wise also filed a card for this one.
Paul.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we're having a great discussion.
Filed a card for this one.
So Mayor, she filed cards for both 44, 45, but got her 3 minutes, which would apply to both.
Okay, got
So
it.
she's spoken for her
Thank you,
time.
Esmeralda.
You're
I'm
welcome.
sorry, Council.
Any discussion on this matter? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Palmer?
Aye.
Porteroo?
I'm sorry to interrupt. On item number, the last item.
844.
Is it possible we finish this vote?
Motion and a second.
We did.
We had a motion and a second on 844.
I was going to listen to the recording because I wasn't sure if we
Yep.
had a motion.
We did it before we had a discussion or Ms. Weiss spoke.
Okay.
Oh, we were at Porteroo?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. And next we'll move to the consent agenda, which is, the consent agenda consists of resolutions 834 through 853, except resolutions 2021 835, 838, 844, and 845. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I will move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Palmer? Porteroo?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we will provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but will listen, ask staff to look into concerns, and provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is able to be brought to you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on the hearing of visitors? And I do have a couple cards here. The first is Sylvia Ashley, I believe. Hi, Miss Ashley.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. Hoping that all of you got my pictures and my, there you go. Okay. My name is Sylvia Ashley. I live at 4209 South 3rd Street. I've been there for 40 years plus. And I'd like to reiterate that the purpose for I'm requesting an Airbnb. I've already paid my $525 for the safety inspections, special permits, and license, and I have been approved twice. I've been here twice already. Again, I'd like to reiterate the purpose for my Airbnb is to help cover rising property taxes. I went to the tax office today to make sure that I had my numbers correct. In 2018, I paid $7,965. I am surrounded by 8 acres, so it's very country-like. After merging the property, after many years, we finally were able to bring it down. This year, I'll only be paying $4,665. Because my husband and I are both retired, that is a lot of money for us. So we thought, okay, we have an apartment that my girls used to live in because our home is only a 2-bedroom, so I have 4 children. My older girls stayed in the apartment and the 2 younger ones stayed in my home. So that was prepared for that. As time went on, we thought, well, we can go ahead and do the Airbnb and make a little money to pay our taxes. Again, I've already paid the $525. I paid that to the planning zone. And they're asking me to go to the Zoning Board of Adjustments because I have asked to use my property that I own next to me, that includes part of that 8 acres, to use their asphalted driveway. It used to belong to Jenkins Radiator Shop. They were required to have asphalt down the driveway and all the way, probably 1/3 of an acre behind the house that my daughter lives next door. All of that is paved. It is about 4 car widths from where the actual apartment is. And there's pictures showing that the driveway that is asphalted. There is a dog run, a black dog run that my grandson used to use as a chicken coop. It has now been removed, so we've got an additional probably 6 feet on that asphalted driveway. It's not going to be any problem because my daughter parks on the asphalted driveway in front of the garage, which leaves the other part of the driveway that is asphalted to go back to the back of the property. It's going to cost me another $500 to go in front of the zoning board of adjustments to be able to see if they will approve it. I'm not guaranteed that they will approve my asphalted driveway. The picture's showing the driveway that has the white blotches in it. It was dug down. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just wrap up your thoughts and we'll.
Okay, I'll wrap it up, and now I'd like to say, all we're asking is for each application for the Airbnb to be considered on its own merits, not a cookie cutter requirements for everyone and anyone who applies. Every property brings their own characteristics, and we'd like for you to consider ours. Thank you.
Ms. Ashley, thank you so much. We can't speak to this item because it's not posted on our agenda, but our staff is here. I appreciate you coming.
I just wanted someone to hear me, that's all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming so
Thank
much.
you.
Our staff is here, and they will get back with you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you so much. The next on our hearing of visitors is Jacqueline Moore. Ms. Moore. Hi, Ms. Moore.
Hi, you guys. I'm Jacqueline Moore, and sorry, I'm a little nervous. And these are my 3 babies, 3 little E's, Eleni, Easton, and Elijah. So real quick, 3 minutes. Okay, so over the summer, we didn't have a summer, actually. We actually lived in, it was actually a nightmare. I don't even know where to begin in 3 minutes. I'm just like so nervous right now. But anyway, we went through a contamination of some sort. We were renting a house from Harold Realty, and I was paying $1,300 a month for a 2-bedroom little house. No program, no nothing. This is just hard work money. And I'm a single mom, and you're Miss Palmer? Yes, I did email you also because somebody spoke highly of you and told me to turn to you. So I emailed, and I'm not a big email person, so, but in hopes to get somebody to come out and help. But anyhow, about all that I got out of it was I had treated myself after 7 kids and 33 years of working. I bought a used BMW last year and had it but for about 10 months. Well, I had an 18-wheeler hit us about 7 weeks ago, I guess, and cut the whole front end of my car off because I fell asleep from cleaning, not knowing. I was just worried about my kids' health and everything. But outside of that, we ended up homeless. We ended up sick and with intestinal worms also because I took them to Cook's Hospital in Fort Worth. I had dropped like 25 pounds, I believe, like in 6 weeks. 'Cause my son was keeping count of the days. How many days did you say we went through it?
60 days.
And when I did go to Harold Realty and them, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was crying and everything after days, about 2 weeks. They're like, well, that's not our issue. And I'm just like, okay, but there's stuff coming out from the vents of the air from the floor. Like, I don't know what this stuff is. Well, anyway, long story short, my mind, because I'm very mechanically inclined, I just couldn't sit. After I wrecked my car, had I not wrecked it, I wouldn't have found out there was mold. So my car's totally contaminated with mold. And I eventually did get the health department out. 4 people came out to my home, maybe 1,000 square feet. I just don't understand how there's 4 people and they don't really look. What are you looking for? A torn screen or a missing doorknob? I can fix that myself. I need to know what are these parasites that are attaching to our food. And so anyway, the furnace, I kept asking them, do you smell that muggy? Yeah, where's the crawl space? So I showed them. But they're like, we're not getting in there. And I'm like, okay. So they left that night. I told the kids, I said, if I don't brace my car up, we need to just go to the store just so I can get away from here for a minute. I said, then I won't go to sleep again. And so in that, I ended up finding the mold in the furnace, and I even called them. It took them 3 weeks to even call me back, to even ask them. I begged them to come out to confirm if that was mold. And that guy, Lewis, sitting there telling me he had his hands tied because by then they had filed eviction for me for the month we were in. I'm like, it's been 9 days. How are you filing eviction on me? I don't owe you for last month when I went in initially. But how can you go file against the courts, against the realty company when you don't know what you're battling? I just wanted somebody to help us, but instead they evict us and we walk away with nothing but a little bit of clothes. And we have, just so y'all know, we've slept in our car. But I tell you what, I make sure I get my kids to school every day. My boys are honor roll students. And I don't think that's right. You know, I didn't owe money. And we all got sick from that, and instead, you know, had CPS called on me. You know, so to know that the last 2-3 weeks we lived just from the rooms because I cut the hallway off, just so we could just stay in that area because I was scared of the kitchen. Like I told them, I said, don't touch nothing more in this house. And I've got like 400 pictures and like 200 videos of the stuff that was in there. But anyway, I ended up finding out because I couldn't understand how mold is in this area in the house and it's in my car. So I borrowed a shovel because the Atmos guys had been around there for the last month and a half, and I dug, started the whole backyard to the front, just picked areas 5-6 feet apart, and the whole property's got mold in it. You know, so how is that when I've come across videos that City of Waco posts, like on the home videos, that they make sure that their #1 priority is our health and our safety. And I begged people, even at the Environmental Commission, to come and check, please. Not for me, but for my kids. What about the next family? You know, the owner was quick to tell me, well, you know, if those issues are really going on, why don't you just go ahead and move out, you know, so I can come in there afterwards and attend to it. Well, I gave you $4,000 in one day just to get the keys handed to me. I mean, it's not that easy.
Ms. Moore, I appreciate you so much coming today. We can't comment on this because we can only speak about what is on our agenda, and that's the state law. But we have staff members here who would love to talk to you and will hopefully give you some help and direction. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you. I appreciate our staff always being quick to respond to people who come and speak to the hearing of visitors where we're unable to comment on this, but I know that we have a good team here at the city who works with people who come to address concerns. The next item on our agenda is to consider any reports on committees, boards, commission liaison visits. Are there any of those tonight?
I only have one thing to say. I went to speak to West Avenue Elementary this morning, and they all wanted me to tell the council members hello and to say to Governor Meek. So, hello, everybody, including Governor Meek.
Oh, man. Glad I'm not on that role.
And the children shall lead them.
Are there any council requests for scheduling of future agenda items? There being no further business, we will adjourn at 7:04 p.m. Thanks.